So once again, good morning one and all. So we will start that today's class by taking the brushing up of the previous concepts. So in the last class, we have discussed what is a demand, what is the function we are going to write for it in a mathematical representation for the demand function. So what are the factors influencing the demand for a product? So various factors are going to be influencing the demand. So one is the price of the product in simple. So whatever the amount of a product you are demanding, that means the quantity demanded is inversely proportional to the price of the product. That means whenever the price of the product is going to be increased, the quantity demanded for that particular product is going to be decreased. They have negative relationship. Income of the consumer. So these are positively related. That means whenever the consumer's income is increasing, the demand will also increase significantly. So on the other hand, vice versa. Whenever the income is going to be decreased, the demand for the particular products are also going to be decreased. So last class we have discussed the things. Next, tastes, habits and preferences of the consumer. So here demand for many goods or many type of items, they depend upon the taste of the consumers and habits of the consumers and preference of the consumers. So each and every consumer are not having the same tastes and habits and preferences. So based on their preferences and tastes, the quantity demanded for that particular product is also going to be changes. So for example, ice creams. So each aged people are not prefer to have the ice creams. So the quantity demanded for ice cream varies for consumer to consumer. So relative price of the substitute goods and the complement goods. So I have already explained what is meant by substitute good and the complementary goods. So how it is going to be affect the demand we have explained. Consumer expectation. In some cases, consumer is expecting future expectations in coming next month, or they are going to give festive offers. At that moment, the prices are going to be decreased, so we will buy at that time. So this is also going to be affect that demand, the quantity demanded for that product. So population, whether it is in, if you take any particular geographical location or any city or any country, whatever it may be, if there is increase in population, again it also increases the demand for necessaries of the life. So each and every person minimum requires the necessaries of the life to lead their life. So automatically whenever the population is going to be increased, the demand for necessaries of the life is also going to be increased. We have discussed climate and weather conditions, how they are going to affect. So in winter seasons, which type of food items we are going to prefer. Suppose if you take the summer season, we are going to prefer to take cool items like ice creams, cool drinks. So at that time we will prefer such type of items. Some persons prefer in a health issue, health point of view, they prefer coconuts like that, juices, fruit juices like that. So in if you take the cool climatic conditions, based on their conditions, they prefer the cloths also, woolen cloths also. So in each and every geographical place, or based on that climatic conditions, we will prefer different types of clothes, different types of food items, or different types of accessories, or whatever it may be. So advertisement effect, because in modern times consumer preference is going to be affected by that attractive advertisements, because they are using celebrities and they are taking different concepts. So those concepts are going to be affected by that consumer. He is affecting for that advertisement, and he is going to buy that particular product, because the attractive and wise advertisement will influence the demand for a product. So they are promoting the product in a clever manner. So already I have explained the law of demand. So law of demand is nothing but here it can be explained by using the demand schedule. This table is also called demand schedule. So here in one column we are taking the price of an item or quantity demanded for an item. Suppose the price of an item is, when it is 5 rupees, the quantity demanded is 1000 units. Whenever the price falls to 1 rupee, the price of the item falls to 1 rupee, the quantity demanded is 5000. That means whenever the price falls, the quantity demanded changes from 1000 units to 5000 units. That is, the quantity demanded is going to be increased. So go from this side. So whenever the price is 1 rupee, the quantity demanded is 5000. Whenever the price is 5 rupees, the quantity demanded is 1000 rupees, so 1000 units. So whenever the price increases, the quantity demanded is decreases. This is the explanation of the law of demand. You have to take one example. If you take any fruit or whatever it may be, or if it is a fruit means each fruit cost is a minimum 20 rupees, means you start with 20 rupees. Or if you take any other item, the cost of that particular item is like this, you have to explain in that manner. So when the price falls, demand extends. When the price rises, demand falls. So other things remains constant. What are the other things? So we have written the demand function in a mathematical way. So it is going to be affected by income, tastes and preferences, price of the substitutes, price of the complements. All these things are going to be remains constant. So we are considering only price and quantity demanded. So we are representing that law of demand by using the curve. This DD curve is nothing but demand curve. So we are taking on the x-axis quantity demanded, and the y-axis we are taking the price. So the curve is falling from left to right. That means whenever the prices are decreasing, the quantity demanded is increasing. That means if it is moving away from the origin. So whenever the price decreases, the demand curve moves away from the origin. That means more quantity we are demanding at the lesser prices. So this is the total explanation you have to write for that law of demand. So assumptions of the law of demand. That means whatever the factors we have taken in that formula, we will go for the formula expression, mathematical expression. This is the mathematical expression we have given. So quantity demanded for a particular good X, for a particular product X, it is a function of income, price of that good X, price of the substitute, price of the complements. T means measure of consumers' tastes, preferences. So consumers' expectations, number of customers or population. This is the population. So other changes like this advertisement. These are all the factors. What we are saying when you are explaining the law of demand, we are considering all these other factors, they remains constant. We are not considering the other factors. That is the thing I am saying. No change in the customer income. We are not considering the income based purpose. Generally, whenever the income increases means the demand is also going to be increased. So we are keeping all these things, all these factors constant. The assumptions underlying in the law of demand are we are keeping all other factors constant. So consumers' preference, tastes and fashions, price and related product, price of the related product, population, government policies. So already we have explained the government policies. Sometimes the government is going to give the subsidies on some type of products, or they are giving some taxes. They are giving the taxation on some products. Whenever the taxation is given on some particular electronic goods or whatever it may be, the cost of that particular electronic good is going to be very high. So whenever the prices are very high, the people are not interested to buy that product. So those are the government policies. So here we are keeping that government policies are also no change. So government policies are nothing but whatever the government handling that state or whatever it may be. So sometimes the taxations or subsidies are given on particular types of products. Whenever the subsidy is given, the cost is going to be reduced. Whenever the taxation will be done on that particular product, the cost of the product is going to be increased. So based on that also it is going to affect the quantity demanded. So we are keeping all these things constant when you are explaining that law of demand. You have to write this also. So whatever the assumptions we have considered for the law of demand. This is the entire 7 marks question. What is meant by law of demand? What are the factors influencing? What are the assumptions of that law of demand? Next. So why demand curve slopes downwards? Already I have explained in the last class. It may be due to income effect. A commodity is utilized more when it becomes cheaper. Substitution effects, multiple use of the product. So what is meant by all these things we have explained in the previous class. Next. So we have started the discussion of given goods. The time is over. So now I have to continue the topic from Veblen goods. So expectations or limitations to the law of demand. So what are the limitations to the law of demand? So what is that law of demand? Whenever the price is going to be increased, the quantity demanded is decreased and vice versa. But in certain cases, the demand The law of demand is not working in that manner. There are some exceptions for that law of demand. So what are those exceptions? One is given goods, another one is Veblen goods, consumer expectations, consumer psychological bias, necessaries, impulse buying. So what are these, all these things we will discuss now. Okay. So what is the given goods? So given goods are also known as inferior goods. So these given goods are named after a British economist, after named by his Robert Giffen. So he was explained, Robert Giffen has explained the concept of given goods because he has observed this concept in at the time of 1970s or whatever it may be. So in a location of British workers. So the concept is applied on the British workers. So these goods are named after Robert Giffen. So what he was observed, when the price of the product is decreasing, generally whenever the price of a product is decreasing means the quantity demanded should be increased. But whenever it is a given good or inferior good, so the whenever the price of that product is decreasing means the demand for that product is also decreasing. That means this is violating the law of demand. So Giffen's paradox is an exception to this law of demand. So it is violating the rule of law of demand. So these products are called inferior goods or given goods. Similarly, whenever the price of the product is increasing, the demand is also increasing. See here, given goods are nothing but we are saying those are the inferior goods. What type of goods are called inferior goods? Yesterday I have explained. The examples we can take normal bread, ketchup, off-branded ketchup. So these are all the things which are not branded items or less cost items. So generally, some consumers prefer such type of items because of their economic situations or because of their financial situations. So whenever that particular bread cost is going to be decreased, whatever the bread they are purchasing, if that bread cost is further decreased, but they are not going to buy that bread because what he is studied means whenever such type of, that means such type means given goods, those type of goods are called inferior goods. Whenever the cost of that inferior goods are going to be decreased means automatically the consumer's income is going to be increased. So automatically the consumer incomes is rises up. So that's why he is not going to prefer such type of inferior goods. He is going to prefer to buy another organic bread or whatever it may be. So better quality bread he will prefer, or better quality ketchup he will prefer, or better quality organic vegetables he will prefer. So whenever the cost of inferior goods is going to be further fall, ఇంకా ఇన్ఫీరియర్ గుడ్స్ యొక్క కాస్ట్ ఫర్దర్ గా తగ్గిపోతుంది అంటే అట్ దట్ మూమెంట్ వాట్ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు బి హ్యాపెన్, he was observed that the income of that particular consumers are going to be increased. Whenever the income increases means automatically they prefer to buy good quality products. So instead of preferring that low quality bread, he will prefer the good quality bread, that is the given goods. So Giffen's paradox, this is called Giffen's paradox. It is an exception to the law of demand. So in this case, see here, you have to remember one thing: given goods, all given goods are called inferior goods, but all inferior goods are not given goods. That is the thing you have to remember here. So this is violating the law of demand. Next, we will go for another slide. Veblen goods are prestige goods. See here, this concept was explained by American economist Veblen. So Veblen goods concept was explained by American economist Veblen. What he was explained that there are certain type of goods which are purchased by the consumer not because they really need these goods. So in the name itself, it is saying Veblen goods are prestige goods. That means those goods are superior or costlier goods. So each and every consumer is not ready to buy the costlier goods, but some type of consumers or some type of persons prefer costlier goods. Why they prefer costlier goods? Because they feel that by buying those goods, they feel that it has a status symbol. So some type of consumers buy they are interested to buy diamonds. Each and every person is not preferring to buy the diamonds because the diamonds cost is more. They prefer to have platinum jewelry or diamond jewelry because they are feeling that if I wear that diamond jewelry, it is my status. They are representing the status symbol. Or maintaining iPhone. Some people prefer, they don't know, really they don't require that iPhone for their purpose, and they don't know the operations of that iPhone, how to handle that iPhone completely, but they are preferring that iPhone because if they put that iPhone in their hand, they feel it is a status symbol. So as a uh, uh, good economic, because they are in a, good position to buy that particular product, so they feel it as a prestigious to have that particular Veblen goods. So they feel those are the status symbols to buy such type of products, because actually they don't require those goods, because by buying those goods they are feeling it as the status symbol. Again, once again I'm telling, Veblen goods are the prestige goods. The concept was explained by American economist, because what it is saying means we don't require certain goods. Actually, we don't require certain type of prestigious goods. So some consumers are going to purchase such type of goods because they don't actually require those goods, but they purchase the goods because of the status symbol to maintain the status in the society. So for maintaining a status in the society, they are buying the such type of goods. So prestige goods are those which consumers will purchase even though they are costlier. So whenever the cost of these prestige goods are going to be increased, but the consumers are going to buy those prestige goods because those people feel that as the status symbol. So the cost is going to be increased. The persons are going to be buy that prestige goods. Suppose if the diamonds cost is fell, each and every people are ready to buy that diamonds, but again that at that moment those type of the people who are feeling it as a status symbol, they don't prefer to buy that diamonds, they will go for high level. So prestige goods are those which consumers purchase even they are costlier. Whenever the cost is going to be increased, again they will buy. So cost increases, demand is also going to be increased. These are all very expensive products, such as designer jewelry, pricey watches, luxury cars that are marketed as being exclusive. So exclusive products, which convey the appearance of success and can be classified as Veblen goods. So Veblen goods are nothing but they are giving the status symbol, and they are make them feeling that the consumers, their appearance of the success, or those are the exclusive products which they prefer to make a good status, feeling a good status in that society. Next, consumer expectations. See here, sometimes the consumer expect in a different way. So whenever the consumer expects a further fall in the price in future, so already this is the context which I have explained in the law of demand. But in some cases, based on that consumer expectations, it is going to violate the law of demand. Why? Because suppose on a particular product X, they have given a 15% discount. So we know that that product has given some 15% discount, but in coming 1 month we are having a festive. So in that festive, for that festive, they are giving more offers on that festive offers. So for that festive offers, not only this 15%, they are going to add some another 15%. They are giving 30% offer on that same product. So if that consumer having that type of expectation means, so why we need to buy this product now? We will buy that product after 1 month, because at that festive time they are giving one more 15% more discount. So they are expecting that further fall in the price in the future. In the coming future, there may be further fall in the price. He will not purchase the products or goods immediately. Now I am reducing the cost of the product. So whenever the price is going to be reduced, quantity demanded must be increased. But the demand is not going to be increased because the consumer having some expectations. There may be some another offers in the coming month. There may be chances for reducing further fall in that price of that product. So that's why that the quantity demand is not increasing readily. So whenever the price decreases, demand tends to decline. But similarly, when the consumer expects there is a further increase in the price for the future, he will buy the products immediately. For example, this can be, we can take in two ways. Suppose whenever we found that some items cost has been increased, so we are having the expectation that in the coming next week these prices of these products are going to be increased more, ఇంకా కాస్ట్ పెరుగుతుంది, ఇంకా కాస్ట్ ఎక్కువ అవుతుంది కానీ వీటి కాస్ట్ అయితే తగ్గదు అనుకున్నప్పుడు మనం ఏం చేస్తాము, ఈవెన్ తో ద కాస్ట్ ఈజ్ మోర్, we are going to get more quantities of that product and we will store it at home, so for future purpose. So like that, this is going to be violate that law of demand. Necessaries. So each and every person require the necessaries of that life. So even though the cost of the necessaries are going to be increased, the demand is not going to be reduced. The demand remains the same because each and every person requires the necessaries. Suppose for a month I required 30 kgs of rice. So the cost of that rice which I am buying is going to be increased 5 to 10 rupees per kg. So even though the cost of that rice is going to be increased, I am going to buy the 30 kgs of rice for my family because I need that necessary. I need that good compulsorily. So I have to balance my money in another. I will reduce my cost expenditure on another items. So I will maintain the budget without violating this. So the demand almost remains constant irrespective of the price changes concerned to these goods. So whenever we are having the increase in the price of that necessaries, the demand for those products is constant irrespective of that price changes. So this is the another thing, necessaries. Next one is impulse buying. Impulse buying means generally we will move to that different places for going exhibitions, some crafts exhibitions or art exhibitions, whatever it may be, some malls or whatever it may be. We will going to visit such type of things. So we are having a social habit to visit a place or situations. Some situations are going to force the people to purchase the goods at higher prices. We know that the same good will be available at lesser price in any another shop. Even though we know that thing, at that mall itself we are going to buy that particular product. So sometimes the situations are going to force us to buy the things at a higher price in that exhibitions or any marts or any shopping malls or anything. So this is called impulse buying. So whenever we are moving to the different types of exhibitions, malls or whatever it may be, there are some situations they are going to force the people to purchase the goods at higher prices, even though we know that those goods are available with lesser cost in another shop or in another location, but the situations are forcing us to buy the things at higher prices. So such type of buying is called impulse buying. So these are all the things which are violating the concept of law of demand. So what are the things they are violating the law of demand? Giffen goods, Veblen goods, consumer expectation, consumer psychological bias, necessaries, and impulse buying. So remember these all the side headings and explain according to your examples which you feel comfort. Okay. So next. Hope you understood that Giffen goods concept, factors which are violating the law of demand. Understood or not? Respond in
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I will move to the another concept, types of demand. This is types of demand. So what are the various types of demand we are going to discuss? Price demand and income demand. We can write them in separate also. Price demand, individual, income demand, cross demand and joint demand, demand for consumer goods and producer goods, durable goods and perishable goods, derived demand and autonomous demand, short run demand and long run demand. These are the various types of demand. Now we are going to discuss. Already I have told you price demand and income demand. What is that price demand? So already the concept considers main price and income on only, because the demand function depends upon that price and income factors. Because whenever that quantity The goods price is going to be increased means the quantity demanded per particular product is going to be reduced. That demand is called a price demand. What is the price demand? It states that which explains the relationship between the price and the demand. How the price of a product and quantity demanded are going to be related. So what is the relationship between the price of the product and quantity demanded? They are having that inverse relationship. So the quantity demanded changes with the change in price. Whenever there is a change in price, automatically there is a change in that quantity demanded. Price goes up means price is going to up means the quantity demanded goes to down. Price going to down means the quantity demanded goes up. So this is called price demand. So other than that we don't require. So again we are having the one of the type of the demand. Whatever the concept we have learned previously, we have to write that same concept here. Next, if you take that income demand, so normally I have explained already income demand as a factor. Whenever the consumer's income is going to be increased means the demand for that products is also going to be increased. That means the demand has a positive relationship with that income. So if you take that normal goods, there is a direct positive relationship between the income and demand. So the quantity of commodities demand at different levels of income is called income demand. So whatever the commodities you are going to buy, each and every consumer is going to buy different kinds of commodities to satisfy their wants. So whatever the quantities of the commodities you demand at different levels of income. So each consumer income is different. So at your income, according to your income, the commodities which you require, you will demand that particular quantity of commodities. So the quantity of commodities demand at different levels of income is called income demand. So if it is the normal goods, so there is a direct positive relationship between the income and the demand. Next, cross demand and joint demand. In the last class also I have explained the concept which is related to cross and joint demand. So cross demand is that one which explain the relationship between the price of one commodity and the demand for another related commodity. That means suppose I am having two products A and B. The two products are for the same purpose. Like take example of soap. If you take any soap, so A is one company soap and B is one company soap. So here, if that generally I use that A company soap. Whenever there is very high increase in that A company's soap, that means A's product cost is very high unexpectedly. So what I am going to prefer based on my income conditions, so I am going to buy whatever the product which will substitute this product. So B is also for the soap purpose only, for bathing purpose only. So I will go to prefer because the cost of B is not changed. The cost of B remains unchanged. The cost of A is changed. It is going to be very high. For each soap, the cost of increasing is 5 rupees. For my family, I require 12 soaps. So 12 fives are 60 rupees I have to burden. So for buying that A branded soap. So what I am doing to balance my budget, so I am preferring the soap B. That is the thing. Cross demand is nothing but I am increasing that particular product A. These are A and B are called that substitute products. Okay. So these are substitute. That means A is for the same purpose and B is also for the same purpose. The cost of A is increased means the demand for B is going to be, the demand means the quantity demanded for the product B is going to be increased. A cost increase అయితే quantity demanded for A అనేది తగ్గిపోతుంది. వేటికి డిమాండ్ పెరుగుతుంది వాటి యొక్క సబ్స్టిట్యూట్స్ అంటే B is also for the same purpose of bathing soap. So the demand for B is going to be increased. That is called cross demand. Hope you understood the concept. So it is the one which explains the relationship between the price of one commodity. One commodity is A and the demand for another related commodity. This related commodity is B. So whenever the price of A is increasing means the demand for B is going to be increased because the company has not increased the price of B. So automatically I want to buy for that B company soap. That is the cross demand. Joint demand. Joint is nothing but complementary goods. So with one good we required another good also. Suppose if I buy a bike, so along with that bike I need petrol also. With the bike itself I can't drive that bike on the road. So with the petrol itself I have to drive that bike on that road. So like that we are having inkjet printers. With that inkjet printers we require the inkjet cartridge also. So without that cartridge I can't use that printers. Suppose whenever that quantity demanded for the printers is going to be increased, means the quantity demanded for that inkjet cartridge is also going to be increased. Okay, suppose when your consumption, when you are doing the consumption of tea, means we are doing the consumption of milk, sugar and tea powder. So jointly demanded, which are jointly demanded, milk and sugar. So these are the joint demand. So if the price of one commodity increases, the demand for its substitute increases. This is the for cross demand. I am explaining joint demand. The demand for one commodity may lead to demand for another commodity, which I have explained. So if the demand for inkjet printer is going to be increased, so the demand for inkjet cartridge is also going to be increased. If the demand for a particular bike is increased, it means automatically the person who bought that bike, they will definitely bought the petrol also. Automatically, the indirectly the demand for petrol is also going to be increased. Those are called joint demand. So here they have given very basic simple example. Nowadays we are not using any pen and ink pens. For example, the demand for pen means ink is also be jointly demanded, because without ink we cannot write the pen. But nowadays we are not using that ink type of pens, ink pens. We are using ballpoint pens. So this is not a nowadays situation. This is not apt. Okay. So have you understood that cross demand and joint demand? Have you understood cross demand and joint demand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So demand for consumer goods and producer goods. What is meant by consumer good and producer goods? So a consumer good is nothing but by buying that particular good, we will directly satisfy our wants. Suppose if I buy an ice cream, or if I buy any food item, if I buy any cool drink, so after buying that I will directly consumption that cool drink or ice cream. So that type of goods are called consumer goods. So consumer goods are the goods which will directly satisfy the wants of that consumers. And then when goods are demanded by the consumer for the direct satisfaction of their wants are called consumer goods. Examples are food items, ready-made clothes, all these things. So we will buy such type of items and where directly we will satisfy our wants. Those type of goods are called consumer goods. Producer goods means producers or manufacturers. They buy certain type of goods. These goods are used to manufacture another goods. For example, if I use a cement, this cement will be used with some another thing to do, to prepare the other molds or whatever it may be, to prepare the wall or whatever it may be. So the cement is not directly used. It is used with another things, and I will prepare the other things. So some machinery. So those are the machines, tools, some equipments we are buying. So producer goods are nothing but we are buying these goods. With these goods, we are going to prepare another goods. Sometimes with these goods, we are preparing the consumer goods. Okay. So these are the producer goods. When goods are demanded by the producer or any manufacturer for the production of another goods, by using these producer goods, we are going to produce another goods or we are going to manufacture another goods. So such type of goods are called producer goods. So the example for that producer goods are machines, tools and equipment. By using things, we are going to manufacture consumer goods, which those consumer goods directly satisfy the wants of that consumer. Next, durable goods and perishable goods. Here some mistake is there. Perishable goods are there which consume, which can't, which can consumed only once. That means perishable goods means the food which will spoil. That means some type of food items we will refrigerate, because without refrigeration they won't be in a better way. Suppose some type of dairy products, we will refrigerate them. If you put that milk packet number of hours, automatically it will get spoiled. Or some another chocolates for their taste way, or without for a solid way, we are keeping them in a solid way. We are putting ice creams, all these some type of dairy products we are putting in the refrigerator, or meat, or any poultry, whatever it may be, we are keeping them in the refrigerator, because these are all are perishable goods. So once you don't refrigerate them, they are going to be spoiled. So these are the goods which can consumed only once. Once you will keep them outside, you have to consume at a time. So other, if you're not consuming them, they are going to be spoiled. Such type of goods are called perishable goods. Durable goods. Durable goods means these are the goods which can be used more than once for a period of time. So if I buy a bike, this bike can be, I can use it for 10 years or 12 years or 5 years or 7 years. So with the single use, I am not throwing my bike. Some a small example, pen. With a single use, I am not throwing my pen. So it will come for 10 days or 1 week, or based on your use. So like that, some type of goods are there, durable goods, which we can use for a over a period of time. They are useful for period of time. Any furniture, ACs, TVs, like that. These are all called durable goods. Next, derived demand and autonomous demand. Derived means it is demand, it is depending upon one of the thing. That means it is depending upon the parent. That means when the demand for a product is tied with the purchase of some parent product, so then it is called derived demand. So whenever you are so mute yourself. So whenever we are purchasing a particular product, so the demand for that product is tied with the purchase of some another parent product. Suppose the cement depends upon the demand for construction industry. Suppose when they are going to be more number of constructions, automatically cement demand is more. So like that, for any particular thing, X demand, the another Y thing is also be dependent. That is called derived demand. So next, autonomous demand. So the quantities are commodities which we demand autonomously, independently. Those quantities demand is not depending upon any another product or any other commodity. Such type of demand is called autonomous demand. So when goods are demanded independently for the direct satisfaction of consumer wants. So if you consumer has any particular type of want, so for satisfying his want, he is going to buy any particular thing. So this buying of that particular commodity is not going to depend upon any other thing. So whatever the goods we are demanded independently for the direct satisfaction of the consumer want is called autonomous demand. So here if you take that sugar, it is not a it is not tightly linked up with the drink demand for drinks. So that means the consumption of sugar is not going to increase the demand for drinks. Next, short run demand and long run demand. See here, short run demand refers to demand which changes immediately due to the reaction in the price. That means, suppose for any particular commodities, they have reduced the price. They have given some instant discounts. So these instant discounts are also going to affect a lot. Suppose we have an advertisement suddenly, or we have any announcement. Today, within 2 days or within 1 day, we are giving offer on these particular sarees or particular products, 25% discount. Automatically, a small change. So in the price, due to the reaction in the price changes, income and or any other income fluctuation, it is going to give the demand effect. That type of demand is called short run demand. Long run demand, it refers to that demand which does not react immediately due to the price change. So we are giving the price changes, we are giving the discounts, but today I have given the discount, tomorrow it is having the discount, but it is not going to affect the quantity demanded whenever giving the discounts. So on the long run, after 1 week, after 10 days, or after 1 month, it is going to affect the quantity demanded for that particular product. So that type of demand is called long run demand. So it refers to that demand which does not react immediately. we are reducing the prices of the commodities, but the quantity demanded is not automatically changing. It is taking some time due to that price change. So the quantity demand is also going to be changed. Immediately the quantity demanded is going not changed immediately. So it is called long run time. It will take some time for change in the demand. Whenever that it will take that immediately, that type of demand is called short run demand. Next, what is this demand schedule? Individual demand and market demand. So when we call individual demand and market demand, for example, so for example, we will take three persons, three consumers, X, Y, and Z. We are considering three persons, X, Y, and Z are the three persons. So they want to buy a commodity. That commodity cost is 5 rupees. When that commodity cost is 5 rupees, X wants 10 units, Y wants 15 units, Z wants 20 units. Have you understood the example? What is that individual demand means? We are having the three consumers, X, Y, and Z. X, Y, and Z. We are having the three consumers, X, Y, and Z. So they want to buy a particular commodity. Its cost is 5 rupees. So X want that commodity quantity is 10 units, Y wants 15 units, and some Z wants 20 units. So what total, what is the quantity demanded at 5 rupees? 10 plus 15, 25, 25 plus 20, 45. So your 45 units is called the market demand. So at that rupees, 5 rupees of that particular commodity, the total consumers wanting how much quantity they are wanting is called that total quantity. Each and single person. So what is the X is requiring? X is requiring only 10 units. That each and single person requiring is called that individual demand. Do you understand? So total, whoever the consumers are requiring that particular commodity, all consumers quantity demand is summing up is called that market demand. Each and every single person demand is called that individual demand. Here X demand is 10 units. That is called individual demand. Y demand is 20 units. That demand is called individual demand. Z is some 25. So summing up all these individual units, it is going to give you some figure of 50 or 60. This total 60 value is called market demand. So individual demand refers to the goods demanded by a single individual. Okay. Here the table is missing. Okay, we will move to that another thing. Next, elasticity of demand. We are going to the concept of important concept, elasticity of demand. So already we know that what is meant by elasticity property, adaptability to the changes, whatever the change we are doing. So it will be adaptable to that changes, general elasticity meaning. So how we are going to explain the concept of elasticity? Just I will give the definition of that elasticity. We will discuss the types in the next class. So elasticity of demand is the measure of degree of change in the amount demanded of that commodity. That means here we are saying price demand, income demand. What we are saying, whenever the price is increasing, the quantity demanded is decreasing. How much decreasing we are getting? How much quantity we are getting the change? The rate of change we are finding, that demand is called elasticity demand, because it is going to measure the rate of change in the amount of demanded. How much quantity demanded is changing. Suppose I am giving the 5% discount on that product. The quantity demanded is increased. How much increased? What is the rate of change of increased? Whether the increase is done by 10 units are increased or 15 units are increased, that rate of change amount demanded of a commodity in response to given change in the price of the commodity is called elasticity demand. Hope you understood that concept of elasticity. What is meant by elasticity? So when I am giving the 10% discount on a particular product, the price level reduced to 10%. So the quantity demanded increased. So how much quantity increased? Whether the quantity demanded increased by 10 units or 20 units or 30 units, what is the rate of change? That rate of change in the amount demanded of that commodity in response to change in the price of commodity is called elasticity demand. So this concept was given by Marshall. This Marshall has introduced the concept of elasticity of demand. So in the next class, we are going to discuss about price elasticity, income elasticity, cross elasticity, and advertising and promotional elasticity of the demand. So the time is up.